What we have for you here today is just a overview of some of the controllers that we have available for the TMCC1 and the Legacy system. I'd like to just take a few minutes and explain what each one of these devices are for. Then we'll get into how we wire them and how they each, what they can operate and how to wire them up to each accessory or switch. We're going to start out with the action recorder controller, the ARC. The ARC is basically a device that allows you to record an operation. So if you have a locomotive and you want to uncouple it from one car, move it to another area of the layout while you're throwing switches, moving it to an accessory, then activating the accessory, maybe unloading a car, loading another car, moving the train back to the original starting point, whatever. Basically what the ARC does is it memorizes all of those commands and then it plays it back on a playback sequence. The ARC is great for a TMCC1 device. You can actually do the same thing with a Legacy remote. So the ARC is really more geared towards TMCC1 operation than Legacy. It will work okay with Legacy. However, the ARCs will not replicate the 9-bit commands for Legacy-equipped locomotives. So, you know, the difference between a TMCC1 and a Legacy-equipped engine is 8-bit versus 9-bit data. The 9-bit data gives you the quilling whistle and the expanded tower column, the railroad speed steps, etc. Those 9-bit commands are not recorded with the ARC. The ARC will only record 8-bit commands like you have with the TMCC Cab 1 and TMCC1 engines. So the ARC action recorder controller really geared more towards TMCC1 than Legacy. Compatible to a degree, but not 100% compatible with Legacy. Next device we have is the ASC, the accessory switch controller. The accessory switch controller will control 4 switches or 8 accessories. Those accessory controls can be programmed to be on, off, or momentary. The switch controls can be programmed to be momentary or constant voltage. We'll show you here on a separate video how to wire up the ASC to something like a tortoise switch machine or a Hankscraft motor, which is typically referred to as a stall type switch machine. Typically runs on DC power. We'll show you how to use the ASC to control that, keep that voltage on, to keep that switch, or keep the switch points locked in position. The ASCs compatible 100% with TMCC1 and with Legacy. The next device we have is the accessory motor controller, the AMC. The AMC has the ability to control up to 2 motors and 2 lamps. So a great place to put an AMC would be a conventional gantry crane, where you've got the rotation motor and the hook motor up and down. The lamp output would be ideal for, say, the electromagnet on that crane. Can be used for really whatever your imagination will allow you to use it for. Designed for accessories, stationary accessories that have a motor, that maybe have 1 or more lamps, maybe an electromagnet, or even 2 motors. AMCs are great for making those stationary accessories, conventional stationary accessories, accessible through either TMCC1, Cab 1, or Legacy. The next device is a block power controller. What's great about the block power controller is you can use it to turn power blocks, which would be the insulated center rail, on and off. Now, pretend you have a siding or several sidings on your railroad. The block power controller can put a power supply. For instance, if you have a TPC, you have 2 TPCs, which we'll call track 1 and track 2. And you want to turn the power on to a siding from track 1, the block power controller can do that. You can turn that power off from track 1, use the power from track 2 to that siding, turn that on. So using 2 inputs, being track 1 and track 2, you can control up to 4 sidings, or power blocks, if you will. If you have 4 power supplies, 4 tracks, you can control up to 2 power blocks. So if you have 2 loops of track, and you want to control it from track 1, track 2, track 3, or track 4, you can do that through the block power controller. We'll get into that more specifically with its own product video and a later video in this series. The last of the smaller devices is the OTC, the operating track controller. What the OTC is great for is giving you command functionality for operating uncoupling tracks. So those tracks that have the electromagnet in the center rail and the 4 operating rails in between the 3 rails for slide shoe operation, the OTC will control both the electromagnet and those control rails to give you the ability to control those operating tracks wirelessly through the remote. You can do up to 2 operating tracks, that is 2 electromagnets and 2 sets of control rails on 2 different operating tracks with an OTC. Next device we have is the accessory voltage controller. What the AVC does for you is allows you to put in up to 15 amps, that would be 2 135 watt powerhouses, into the accessory voltage controller and put out a fixed voltage. So if you want to run all of your accessories at a fixed 14 volt supply, you can do that with the AVC. You can set that voltage at 14 volts and run that constantly and have the ability to turn them on and off through the remote, turn that voltage on and off through the remote. Can also set voltages, predetermined voltages, and control that through the remote. The AVC has its own product video, and we'll explain everything that we can do with an AVC in that product video itself. The last 2 devices are the TPC 300 and the TPC 400. The TPCs all have their own product video. Basically, these are devices that allow you to control the track power conventionally through a handheld remote. So you can increase and decrease your track voltage to run conventional locomotives, provide a positive and negative DC offset for whistle and bell control, direction control, and some other trick things that the TPCs will do that are covered in the product video. But this basically summarizes the entire line of products that we have in the, I don't even know what we want to call this series. We'll call it the 3-letter acronym series, the ARC, ASC, AMC, BPC, OTC, AVC, and TPCs. Again, product videos for each and every one of these devices and how they will best apply to your railroad. Just a basic overview of what they do. Thank you.